Hey guys, Script here with another video. I wanted to do a little quick vid here about the Legacy of Vader comic book. Now, they've decided to fill in the gap, I guess, between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker as it pertains to Kylo Ren's character. And I guess it's the only gap they had, so they might as well fill it, because Force Awakens and Last Jedi take place over a week at the same time. So that was stupid. That was a dumb mistake. But now they're trying to, make content in between here, and I guess they figured, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that Kylo went from this pouty loser, wimp, simp in The Last Jedi to the Supreme Leader and strangling guys and actually being a villain again, because it's gone back and forth the entire series and it's a complete mess. So they called on Charles Soule, who's, a pretty prominent Star Wars author. He does a lot of their stuff to try and make sense of that bridging of the gap. And let's listen to this, just some excerpts from his interview, and we'll see what he has to say about it. And we'll also judge a couple of the comic panels that have been released and get an idea of what they were doing. Let's take a look.
The way that both Vader and Kylo present themselves to the galaxy, to the public, let's say, is very untouchable, unflappable, reserved, and all that stuff. And
Wait. Vader maybe, but not Kylo. And when he's talking about how they present themselves to the galaxy, to who? To the other stormtroopers? There's no point where Ben or Kylo or Vader are addressing the regular citizens. That doesn't happen. They're busy doing stuff. But in terms of what we do see, Kylo is very much the opposite. I mean, even Hux thinks he's an idiot. At the end of The Last Jedi, Hux tells him, I think you got him, and all the guys are standing around what is this lunatic doing?
That's enough. Do you think you got him?
Vader is, as he describes, Ben is nothing like that. So if that's what they're basing this comic book on, he is literally the opposite. He's all over the place. And he presents himself all over the place. Remember when he freaks out when Rey gets away and he starts swinging his lightsaber and screaming, and those stormtroopers come around the corner? He's not even remotely stable. So I don't understand that comparison at all. And I have no disrespect to Charles, but no, that's not at all correct.
And the difference between Vader and Kylo is that Vader did that because he successfully destroyed his emotions, I think, in many, many ways. And he felt almost nothing until he understood that Luke existed, basically. Whereas Kylo is still feeling all of it. He is very much in his feels, which I believe is something that he still feels, even though he's pretending that he's not. So really, the thing that I learned from one of the things that I learned from writing Vader that I'm applying here is the way characters present externally is not necessarily what's going on with them internally, and finding a way to signal or hint at what's going on in their internal life, while on the outside they just look like murdering monsters.
Guys, tell me, did you get those vibes at all from Kylo Ren's character? Am I nuts here? I don't know where Charles is getting this from. Kylo is the complete opposite of Vader, and he presents himself the complete opposite of Vader. He's over-the-top emotional constantly with everybody, all the time. What is he talking about? And in fact, the one time when he tries to keep it together, when he goes in to see Snoke in The Last Jedi, he still ends up pouty and puppy-doggy. There's no comparison. And I understand they gave him a really tough job. They've got to try and convince the audience that this guy's the new Vader. But even in the movie, even in the one good thing Rian Johnson did was have Snoke make fun of him because he's not. And he tells him to take his stupid mask off because he's just a fake loser. So the idea that they're the same in any respect whatsoever, I'm sorry. He presents himself as a wussbag loser. Vader does not. The difference between how they present themselves is so vast that I don't see any connection there. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Look, one of the great things about working with Story Group at Lucasfilm is they want us to tell the stories that we want to tell. They're always they're providing the guardrails and sort of where the various lines are, but it's always with a desire towards like, okay, we know that you want to do this. You can't do this for X, Y, and Z reasons, but what if you did that? Which and that is always close enough to our original this that it's really a collaboration.
Okay, so I didn't include right before that. Charles went on a big thing about how he pushes the envelope and then they just say no if they want to say no. And then this is Guggenheim trying to be like diplomatic, like, oh, it's great working with the Story Group and da 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 da. The Story Group that crossed out Luke's face, the Story Group that has people on it that have admitted they've never even watched Star Wars and know absolutely nothing about it. The Story Group that's broken lore 50 million times. I mean, I understand this is their job. I'm not at all, throwing any kind of shade at these dudes. They're just saying what they have to say. But the reality of it is the Story Group controls everything. And they're admitting that, but then trying to spin it like, oh, well, but it's great. No, it's not. And that's why there's some stupid stuff in this comic book that we'll discuss.
One of the core conceits of the series is that Kylo is going to visit iconic locations that are connected to Darth Vader. So, we see Tatooine, we see Naboo, and the question becomes, what do those locations look like in this time period? And are we going to define, like, for example, what Theed looks like between episodes 8 and 9? What's going on Theed between episodes 8 and 9? And there have been little bits and pieces of storytelling that have addressed that, but it hasn't really been landed on hard with both feet. And so it becomes a bit of a negotiation to say, well, we love the idea of going back to Naboo. We understand why you're doing it, but, like, do you want to say that this building that we see in, like, the palace has been blown up? I'm not going to do that because that's maybe a swing that I would rather save for some other story element. But at the same time,
what's really kind of depressing about this interview, and if you want to watch it, it's on Star Wars Explains channel, but they're talking about stuff that's like, who cares? Like, no one's buying this comic book to see the changes in Theed or some stupid thing. We want to know about what's going on with this character, and they can't say anything because it's this big secret, like as if anyone gives a crap anyway about Kylo Ren. But it's just, so he's going around he's going to Theed, he's going to go to Padme's grave, which Vader already did, yay. Then he's going to go to Tatooine, and then he's going to go to Mustafar and go to Vader's castle. I don't know. I don't see this as exciting whatsoever. Like, and here's the other thing that's really silly about this whole thing. So he's going to go around to all these former sort of Vader places. Why would you be doing that now? Like, I thought he was like this Vader worshipping sycophant. Like, he has his helmet. God knows how he got that. Maybe they'll show that. He goes down, while he's burning and sneaks it away while nobody's around or some stupid thing. Was he even alive? It doesn't even make any sense. It's just so stupid. So, doing this now, at this point in the timeline, after he's already been under Snoke for decades, makes absolutely no sense. It's just content. It's just a way to sell a comic book, hopefully, right in their mind. It's super stupid.
So there's a point where Kylo decides that he needs to face a Jedi after what happened with Luke. And so he goes on a search for any possible Order 66 survivors, which is a plot point that I think is really rich to think about and explore this far after Order 66. So, I don't know, I see a shadow outside the room, I think. But, like that is really fun because I just get to, do what I think makes the most sense and then see what happens.
Seriously? Seriously? This is 50 years after Order 66. It's more than that. It's like 50-something years, bro. What is going on? Like, first of all, I don't understand why he is so obsessed with Vader this far on. Like I said earlier, why this stuff wasn't done before. But he feels the need to hunt a Jedi. Shouldn't this have already been done? Like, shouldn't he have been doing this long before he put the mask on and pretended that he was this Vader character that he's not, because he's a weak loser Vader version? This is all stuff that should have been done way before this in the timeline. None of this makes any sense. I guess they had nothing else to do between 8 and 9. I don't know. I mean, he does mention in another part of the interview that, you know, he deals with some of the First Order stuff. Okay, fine. There's some stuff there. They lost their fleet and blah, 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 Star Killer base. But as far as Kylo's concerned, I mean, this is silliness. And he never should have been the pouty loser he was. And then now you're going to try and like manipulate people into thinking he's really this big bad because he goes after some Jedi and he's looking for any Jedi he can find. How many are there? We just keep adding more. Order 66 was totally stupid and pointless. What was the point of it? It didn't accomplish anything. And then at the same time, remember, they just continue to, and Charles knows this, and this is why it's just a job, I think, for him at this point, just like everybody. They're just there to make the money because it's over. He knows full well that Luke was the last Jedi after Yoda died. Yoda says, "You are the last of the Jedi you will be." There are no other ones. There's no Ahsoka. There's no Jodna Nawood. There's none of these people. None of them exist. They're all fake in George Lucas canon. There is no more Jedi until Luke trains more Jedi, because he's the last Jedi. He's the only one that has the knowledge and understands how to do it. But, we made it so you don't need training, and anybody can be a Jedi. It's Ratatouille. Anyone can cook. So, it's just stupid now, and this is equally dumb. So now he's hunting, like, how many are there? How many more are there? We've already got, like, 30 added on. Cal Kestis, on and on and on and on and on. And everyone's just kind of accepting this now because they've been doing it since 2012. But I don't accept this. This is nonsense. There's just, it's ridiculous that there's this many Jedi. It's ridiculous that Order 66 did nothing, basically. And you'll say, it killed most of them. Okay. And it still breaks lore. It still breaks what Yoda said. There should not be Jedi running around. And Rey being a Jedi is equally stupid because Luke doesn't even train her. Where does she get all this ability? Yeah, she saw the books after she already had all these Jedi abilities. So no, this comic book is not explaining anything. This is nonsense, and this does not make Kylo some toughie now. Like, he's a wussbag loser. We all know that.
There's that. It's kind of a fun mirror of Vader as well. Like, that was one of his first missions, right, in your comic series.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So let's just do the same thing again. The same thing again. And then they try to convince everybody that these are not Sith. So you've got Vader and his Inquisitors, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. I can't stand the Inquisitors. They're retarded. If there were a handful of Jedi that survived Order 66, it would have been Vader's job to go and deal with them, just like it was in the original EU stories. And yes, it did make Vader quite a bit scarier and more ruthless seeing those images and those panels. It's not going to work with Ben because in the timeline you've already established what he is. But it's the same thing again. So you've got Ben and his, quote, Knights of Ren, like Vader and his Inquisitors. It's just the same rehashed stuff over and over and over. That's what the story group demands of these guys, is just rehashing the same stuff. Kylo Ren is a wussy. And he is lame. And you could make that into something. Don't try to make him into Vader now. It's over. And you're just doing the same thing again. Like, what are these guys doing?
Ben Solo is not Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren is not Ben Solo, even though they inhabit the same physical body. And Kylo Ren is more than just like a character that Ben Solo took on. Like, Kylo Ren is his own person, very much the same way that Vader is not Anakin Skywalker, even though in some ways he is.
Charles, you've lost me here. Earlier in the interview, you were saying that he's conflicted and he's dealing with all this stuff and he wants to go around and see Vader's whatever places he went to try and connect more with his Vaderness. And now you're saying that he isn't like that he's very much like Vader in that he's completely separate from Ben, and Kylo is over here and he's Kylo. And it's like, which is it? You're trying so hard to convince us he's like Vader when he's nothing like Vader at all. And we've established that. The films themselves established that with the way Snoke treats him and stuff. And everything that he does and the Force Skyping with Rey. He's totally conflicted. Vader isn't at all. Vader has rejected Anakin completely. Why are you trying to convince us through this comic book that they're the same when they're completely different? You should have just rolled with them being different. And I'm not even saying it's you. It's probably the stupid story group because they don't know what they're doing and they're trying desperately to turn this character into something bigger than what he is. He is what he is. JJ made him what he is. Ryan made him what he is. You guys aren't going to change it now with a comic book series. I'm sorry. He's nothing like Vader. And you know this to be true. So one of the things that he does is he goes back to Tatooine and he says, why are we here? And then this is a nowhere planet. And not to Lord Vader, my prince. And then it shows this like flashback of Vader, I guess, killing Watto? Vader must have returned here. Taken his revenge. This is just so corny. And like, I don't understand why this would even be in here. I mean, you know, let's just show the clip here from Attack of the Clones. Like, Anakin goes back in Attack of the Clones and meets with Watto to find out where his mom is. And you don't get the impression at all that he's super mad at him or is going to get revenge on him. So the idea of Vader flying to Tatooine to deal with Watto, some guy who's like basically broke now anyway and just is living on Tatooine. I just feel like that's stupid. Like he wouldn't be taking time to go do something like that. It's very, very weird and dumb. And let's just watch this clip and you can see, you know, what kind of an impression you get from how Anakin thinks about Watto when he sees him in Attack of the Clones.
Mi bosca da Shmi Skywalker.
Lanny? Hey, Lanny? You are Annie! It is you! Maybe you could help with some deadbeats who owe me a lot of money.
My mother.
Oh, yeah. Shmi. She's not mine no more. I sold her.
You sold her?
Yeah, I sold her to a moisture farmer named Lars. At least I think it was Lars. Believe it or not, I heard he freed her and married her.
Do you know where they are now?
Someplace over on the other side of Mos Eisley, I think.
I'd like to know.
Go look at my records, huh?
So he clearly talks to him fairly authoritatively, but not in like a angry, vengeful way. And the exchange is pretty friendly. Like there's and the thing about this too that people have to realize is that Watto, like the system that Anakin and his mother were under was the system. Like that was the way it worked for a lot of people. And surely Anakin would have seen other people go in and out of Watto's care over the years. Watto wasn't exactly like when, every time somebody hears the word slave, they think of like people being whipped and bound and chained. And there was a lot of indentured servitude, even in the history of Earth, that didn't involve like chattel slavery. And that's more what this is. They had their own house, which was quite large, if you remember, from The Phantom Menace. He had his own little shop inside of it. He was obviously had access to parts and stuff. There's no way he could afford to build C-3PO on his own with his own money. He had no money. He was a quote slave. So Watto provided them a pretty normal life, despite the fact that they were indentured servants. Like, it wasn't like they were just like treated horribly and beat up all the time and yada yada yada. They were pretty free in a lot of ways. Like, Qui-Gon was sitting down with them. Shmi and him are having conversations. He's building his pod racer. So I don't see Watto as like this horrifying character that Anakin would just want to come back as Vader and kill him. Nah. It's just another corny thing. It's just content. Everything content. Just because they can't think of any new ideas. To me, that's all this is. A panel that was released, and it also kind of contradicts what Charles is saying. Like, this guy clearly is emotional. He's a wreck. He's nothing like Vader at all. And he isn't all through The Rise of Skywalker, which happens after this comic book. So I don't know what they're trying to convince me here. Like, he's not anything like Darth Vader at all. He's a crappy, dumb version of Vader. Snoke failed, essentially. And then there's this other panel of him, like, using the Force to hover Vader's helmet above him and looking at it all angrily. It's so crappy. There's no going back from this, guys. Like, this is who this guy is. This is his character. This is what he is in the movies. He's this weird non-villain who pretends to be a villain but sucks at it. That's all it is. There's no Vader here. This is not the new Vader. This is nothing. And it's so strange to me that they're trying to retcon that. Like, JJ and Ruin did what they did with him. You can't retcon it after the fact now. And then even in The Rise of Skywalker, he's still kind of pathetic. Like, Rey defeats him, like, when they're trying to pull the ship down. She's clearly more powerful than him in every way. I just don't see it. He does get the upper hand on her in the one fight on the Death Star, the ridiculous sunken Death Star. But even then, it's just all conflict, and he feels his mother, and then she stabs him, and it's like, Vader wouldn't have done any of that. Like, no, he's not Vader at all. I don't know why they're going down this road. This is a pretty dumb comic book, in my opinion. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think. Is this something you'd be interested in? Just let me know, and let me know any comments or thoughts you have on this. If you like this content, please like, subscribe. Always helps the channel. Feel free to check anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.